Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Holly Golightly at Perfume Vegas. I'm happy to have you. Today I am doing the indie perfume the indie perfume version of the video 5 winter scents that are going to take me through the holidays or through winter, such as it is here. These are all scents that I've not talked about on my channel before, because these are specifically like Christmas time fragrances. So I don't wear them any other time of the year, and I really don't bring them out other than Christmas. I do have a few Christmas fragrances from some indie brands that I wear year round. One of them I brought out, I was going to talk about it, but I realized that they had discontinued it. So all of the fragrances that I have are, to my knowledge, still in production from these brands. Some of them I believe are available now, and some of them may be available in the very near future. So I will link to all of the brand websites down below, and I will link directly to the fragrances if they are available. So check that out if any of these brands or scents interest you. And otherwise, let's get started. These aren't in any particular order because I really couldn't say. I don't wear indie fragrances like daily. They're not what I reach for daily. I definitely have to be consciously thinking about wanting to wear them. So yeah, these are definitely fragrances that have a time and a place. The first one is the oldest one in my collection. And it also, I believe it was discontinued at some point, but I think the brand has brought a version of this fragrance back. This is the scent Falling Stars at Winter Solstice by the brand Alchemia. And as you have already heard me talk about Alchemia quite a bit, you know that it is one of my favorite indie brands. I moved the camera so now your guys are over here, but I was looking over here. I'm confused. So this is a rich fragrance. It's got a kind of cold feeling to it, but it's also very woody. It's deep. It does have a sort of spiciness. I believe there are some resins and incense type of notes in this fragrance, but it was like my first true Christmas indie fragrance, and because of that it remains special to me, and I do have a lot of fond scent memories attached. This is their old packaging. This is probably, God, it's got to be closer to 10 years old now, the fragrance itself. But luckily, with proper storage, indie fragrances don't turn. Okay, so I look a bit chaotic now. I had to get under the bed to fetch this perfume. Luckily, indie fragrances with proper storage stay good for quite a bit longer than their their alcohol-based counterparts, the oil-based fragrances, not just indie ones, oil-based fragrances. So that's the first pick, Alchemia Falling Stars at Winter Solstice. The second ones are both from the same house, and they're from the brand Mona Lisa. I talked about this scent briefly in a Halloween video, I think. Yeah, a Yule or a favorites video. The brand Mona Lisa is an old, they've like been around for a long time, but their production is very small. They're like a niche indie brand, if that makes any sense. They did a Yule release in Bath and Body products, but to my knowledge, the fragrances have not yet had their Yule release. I believe that might be coming a little bit later, maybe in the upcoming weeks or two. But I have two fragrances from them that I know are going to be in stock if they do. Well, I don't know that they're going to be, but I know they are still produced. So if they do a fragrance release, these two should be there. The first is Yuletide Grove, and this is actually a combination of two fragrances that were independently made. Yuletide and Winter Grove, or Solstice Grove, I'm not sure the name of the second perfume, and they got combined and on accident and made this new fragrance. So as you can imagine, Yuletide Grove is a wintry, piney, woodsy sort of scent, similar to Falling Stars on Winter Solstice, similar to another fragrance that I'm going to show you. Most of the Christmas scents that I like are woody, Christmas tree, piney, resiny type of fragrances. I do like some gourmand fragrances. I have a couple that are more gourmand, but just in general, that's not my scent preference. Even when it comes to home scents, that's not really my scent preference. So Yuletide Grove is sweet. It's definitely sweeter in the sense of being a woody fragrance. It's like a sweet woody fragrance because Yuletide, the scent itself, was a much more fragrant, like with spices and gourmand elements. And then there's that sweetness, there's a little bit of spiciness, and then underneath the underlying fragrance, there's like a balsam or pine sort of holly wreath Christmas tree scent. This is probably the closest thing to how I want to smell at Christmas and how I want my house to smell at Christmas. This is probably the closest representation to like the perfect Christmas in a fragrance. So that was Yuletide Grove from Mona Lisa. And the other one from Mona Lisa is Christmas Pudding. Now this is a gourmand fragrance. I'm not looking at you, I'm sorry. Both of the bottles have this beautiful jeweled cap, and then both of them have a stopper so that they don't leak. Christmas pudding is a delicious gourmand. Some of these are very self-explanatory, I feel like. The names don't lead you wrong. There's something about food at Christmas time, like Christmas food, that is so nostalgic for me. In my family, we'd had old recipes passed down through generations for specific Christmas desserts, like icebox dessert and German dessert, and just all sorts of different hand-me-down type of family recipes. And then my dad had this thing for like fruitcake, like traditionally packaged fruitcake, like the ones that people leave sitting on the shelves at the store because they're like 20 pounds. He loved fruitcake, so every year he would get a fruitcake for Christmas. And then I also gifted him peanut brittle every year. Like that was what I got him for Christmas, peanut brittle and handkerchiefs. So yeah, these gourmand foodie Christmas scents are very nostalgic for me. And this one has a slight gingerbread scent, but it also has a little bit of a boozy quality. Like you can imagine like a Christmas pudding that called for rum or whiskey or some sort of boozy ingredient. It's spicy, it's sweet, it's a flavorful fragrance, and it really smells like Christmas time. So those two from Mona Lisa, I will link to the website. I do not know if they will be available based on the perfumer's ability to create the perfume, but I'll link them for you anyway, because if you want to get your hands on them, you have to like jump on it. The next one is from Alchemic Muse, and this is a really this is a little bit of a under the radar brand, although they're quite prolific. She puts out quite a few fragrances every season, and I believe she actually discontinued several of my favorite Christmas fragrances, but I do think this one is still available, or if this particular scent isn't available, there is a very similar scent that is. So I'll link to what I can, but this is from Alchemic Muse, and it is called Wassail. So yeah, she has a fragrance called Glue Wine. I know that for a fact, which may have replaced this one, but I think they have a lot of similar elements. What I love about Wassail is it has a very, very orange clove note. It smells like a rich, thick, sort of like plum wine with orange and clove, and like maybe cinnamon stick. Something that absolutely could warm you up after a night of caroling, going door to door in the outdoors, hot toddies, and just even for the kids, you know, leaving the booze out and having like grape juice, orange, and cinnamon sticks and cloves. It's so, so good. So again, if you want something that's gourmand, but not like sweet confectionery type of gourmand, this is Alchemic Muse Wassail, and she also has glue on, and I will link whatever is available down below. And then last but not least is from Solstice Scents. I have two of these because I didn't know that I had purchased one, and they had an end of the year sale, and I was like, yes. And I went in and bought another one, and then I was like, wait a minute. So I actually have two bottles of this. So on the one hand, like, that makes me happy. I don't have to like really be careful with how much I'm using, but on the other hand, like, I was like, oh, I could have bought something else. Anyway, from Solstice Scents, this is Winslow's. And Winslow's is a Christmas tree farm in the fictional town of Foxcroft. And I believe that is in Maine, in the fictional setting. But this is the Christmas tree farm. And so this smells like Christmas trees. Surprising, I know. So this differs from these other Christmas tree scents by being a much spicier, scent. It's got a level of spice that is similar to Falling Stars at Winter Solstice, but its tree fragrance is more of an indoor Christmas tree fragrance and not an outdoor wintry tree fragrance. This one definitely, this is one that I would love to layer with a gourmand type of fragrance like Wassail. I think that you would get a really broad Christmas experience if you did something like that. But just in general, it's a really lovely Christmas tree fragrance. Another Christmas tree option if you like to smell like pine in the winter, which I personally do. And then I'm gonna talk about a runner-up type of fragrance, and the reason I didn't want to include this initially is because it's discontinued. You can't buy this anymore. But there are two versions of this scent that I own from two different brands, and the name of the fragrance is called Hearth, and I own it in I own it from Alchemic Muse, a fragrance called Hearth, and I own it from House of Gloy, a fragrance called Hearth. The House of Gloy one is probably, gosh, it's hard to say which of the two I like more. I believe the Alchemic Muse Hearth fragrance is still available, so I'll link it if it is. But the House of Gloy one is not. But both of them are like a woody type of fireplace smell They are they have like an apple brandy type of note, and they just smell like you're cuddled up with a hot toddy in front of a fireplace. Both of them. They're slightly different, but they are very similar. So that fragrance is one of my favorites for both fall and winter, but because it was discontinued, I didn't want to include it. I actually, all of the fragrances from House of Glory that I really love have been discontinued. So if you wanted to purchase from that brand for a Christmas fragrance or a Yule fragrance, I would recommend Rosy Cheeked or Winter Divinity if you're looking for an interesting type of gourmand. It's like a pepperminty sweet gourmand. And I'll link stuff below for you. So anyway, those are the fragrances from my indie catalog, my indie vault of fragrances that I'm going to love to pull out to wear for winter. Like, I will actually just keep them out now that I've gotten them. And I'll be wearing them through December and into the new year, and then some of these even through January. So Falling Stars on Winter Solstice, I can absolutely wear all through winter. So I hope that you enjoyed those picks. I hope that this video was helpful for you if you were looking to pick up any indie fragrances for winter. A lot of indie brands call their winter releases Yuletide releases. So if you're looking at different indie brand sites and you don't see a winter section, look for a Yule or holiday section, because some brands do just a release of holiday type fragrances specifically for winter. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to like this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so. And don't forget that the giveaway for the Etat d'Orange sample set is still going on at the time of this recording. So if you haven't had a chance to enter, but if you haven't, if you want to enter, you can still do that at this time. So otherwise, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates, future videos, and I will see you again on the next one. Bye!